What if I told you there are beaches in Germany so quiet, so untouched, that most Europeans have never even heard of them, and you can stay there for under €100 a night? Every summer, tourists flood the same tired spots. Sylt gets expensive, Rügen gets packed. But Germany's North Sea and Baltic coasts stretch for hundreds of kilometers, and hidden along them are car-free islands, forgotten fishing villages, and wild national park beaches that most people completely overlook. Here are 10 of them. Still affordable, still under the radar, for now. Number 10. Pelvorm and the Buttjardingen Peninsula, North Sea. Let's start with something that sounds almost made up. Pelvorm is a low-lying island in the North Sea, surrounded almost entirely by tidal flats. There are no major resorts here, no theme parks, no influencer crowds. Just vast open skies, the Wadden UNESCO World Heritage Site stretching to the horizon, and a silence so deep you can actually hear the tide coming in. Nearby, the Buttjardingen Peninsula on the mainland offers the same Wadden experience. Mud-flat walks, quiet beaches, and rural guest houses without even needing a ferry. This is Germany's answer to the end of the world, and it costs almost nothing to get there. Why it works for 2026. Limited tourism infrastructure means limited price inflation. Budget travelers, this one's for you. Number 9. Neuharlinger Seal, North Sea, East Frisia. Now here's a name most people can't pronounce, and that's exactly why it's still affordable. Neuharlinger Seal is a harbor village built around a traditional seal. That's the old German word for a sluice gate used to control tidal flooding. The architecture here is centuries old, the cafes are cozy, and the beaches are wide open. But the real draw? Mudflat hiking. Called Wattwanderung in German, this is the experience of walking out across the tidal flats at low tide. Kilometers of ancient seabed exposed, full of marine life, with nothing but open sky above you. It's one of the most unique things you can do in Europe, and it's almost entirely free. Families love it here. No noise, no stress, just the sea, the mud, and the kind of reset your nervous system has been begging for. Number 8. Greetsiel, North Sea, East Frisia. If you've ever seen a postcard of a Dutch-style fishing harbour with colourful gabled houses and a traditional windmill, there's a good chance it was actually Greetsiel. This village is straight out of a fairy tale. A working harbour lined with fishing boats, fresh Fischbrötchen, that's the iconic German fish roll, sold right off the dock, and mud-flat walks stretching out into the Wadden Sea. But here's what makes Greetsiel special in 2026. It's close enough to larger hubs like Emden to keep travel costs low, but quiet enough that you genuinely feel like you've escaped. Modest pensions and self-catering apartments keep accommodation affordable, and the pace of life here is deliberately, unapologetically slow. Come for the harbour, stay for the silence. Number 7. Marsholm, Schlei region, Baltic Sea. We're switching coasts now, and things are about to get dramatic. Marsholm sits at the mouth of the Schlei Fjord, a narrow inland waterway that cuts deep into Schleswig-Holstein. This was once an island, genuinely cut off from the mainland, and even now, connected by a small dam, it feels completely apart from the modern world. Think fairy tale cottages, a working harbour with boutique shops, and kite-surfing lagoons just outside the village. A nearby bird protection area makes it one of the quietest, most ecologically rich spots on the entire Baltic coast. Campsites, local apartments, and fresh seafood restaurants keep your budget intact. And it's an easy drive from Schleswig, so getting there doesn't require major planning. Marsholm is the kind of place you stumble onto and immediately start planning to return to. Number 6. Inselpuel, Baltic Sea near Wismar. Here's one that barely registers on international travel radar, and that's entirely to its benefit. Inselpuel is a small island connected to the mainland by causeway, just outside the UNESCO-listed Hanseatic city of Wismar. Traditional thatched roof farmhouses dot the landscape. The beach at Timmendorf Strand is soft sand and calm Baltic water, and the whole island has a rural, unhurried charm that feels genuinely rare in 2026. Budget-friendly guest houses and campsites give you options at every price point. And because most international visitors don't even know this island exists, you won't be fighting for space on the beach. That in itself feels like a luxury these days. Number 5. Fischland der Zingst Peninsula, Baltic Sea. Now we're getting into somewhere truly special. The Fischland der Zingst Peninsula is a narrow strip of land jutting out into the Baltic Sea, protected as part of the Vorpommersche Boddenlandschaft National Park. On one side, open ocean. On the other, vast lagoons and wetlands. And running through the middle, a 14-kilometer wild beach with wind-sculpted ancient trees, shifting dunes, and zero development. Villages like Ahrenshoop, a historic artists' colony, and Prero, with its thatched cottages and forest paths, give you culture and nature in the same breath. There are cycling routes connecting everything, so you barely need a car. But here's the thing that stops people in their tracks. The Darser Ort, the wild western tip of the peninsula, is one of the most visually striking stretches of coastline in northern Europe. Gnarled trees bent sideways by decades of wind, driftwood, crashing waves, and not a single hotel in sight. Holiday homes and smaller guest houses start at reasonable rates, especially in shoulder season. This one rewards those who plan ahead. Number 4. Umans, Baltic Sea, connected to Rügen. Everyone's heard of Rügen. Almost no one's heard of Umans. Connected to Rügen by bridge, Umans is described locally as Rügen's quiet little sister. And that framing is exactly right. While the main island fills up with summer tourists chasing the famous chalk cliffs, Umans stays remarkably calm. Charming fishing villages, unspoiled lagoon landscapes, easy cycling trails, and Baltic views that stretch uninterrupted to the horizon. This is the place for people who wanted Rügen but found it too crowded, too expensive, and too loud. No ferry costs, fewer tourists, better value. If you're visiting the Baltic in 2026, put Umans on your list before everyone else does. Number 3. Hiddensee, Baltic Sea, west of Rügen. Here's where things get interesting. Hiddensee is a car-free island west of Rügen, and it has been drawing artists, writers, and free thinkers for over a century. Gerhard Hauptmann, the Nobel Prize-winning playwright, spent his summers here, and once you arrive, you understand why. Thatched roof villages like Kloster and Witter, wild cliffs at the northern tip, pristine beaches at the south, birdsong instead of traffic noise. The only way to get around is to walk or cycle, and the only way to get there is by ferry from Stralsund or Schaphode, which honestly just adds to the sense of arrival. Simple guest houses and private rentals keep costs down. And because Hiddensee sits in the shadow of the more famous Rügen, it punches way above its weight in terms of beauty while staying comfortably below average in price. This is the hidden gem that artists found first. Now you know about it too. Number 2. Langeoog, North Sea, East Frisian Islands. Back to the North Sea now, and back to something genuinely magical. Langeoog is one of Germany's East Frisian Islands, car-free, wind-swept, and home to a 14-kilometer sandy beach backed by high dunes. The island village is compact and walkable, full of traditional Frisian architecture, independent bakeries, and the kind of shops that still feel locally owned. There's something about arriving by ferry from Binz or Sylt on the mainland, watching the island appear slowly out of the North Sea haze, that resets something in you. By the time you step off the boat, you've already slowed down. Holiday rentals and smaller hotels make this genuinely accessible, especially in May, June, or September when the summer peak subsides. And the combination of wild open beach and car-free village means you can genuinely spend days here without spending much money at all. Number 1. Baltic, North Sea, East Frisian Islands. And at number 1, the smallest and perhaps most extraordinary of them all. Baltic is sometimes called the Sleeping Beauty Island, and the name fits perfectly. It is the smallest of the inhabited East Frisian Islands, almost entirely free of development, surrounded by the Wadden Sea National Park, and accessible only by ferry from Nesmesil. No through traffic, no chain hotels, no noise except the wind and the sea. Just long, sandy beaches ideal for families, safe tidal swimming areas, thalassotherapy spa treatments using North Sea water and mud, and the kind of peace that has basically vanished from the rest of Europe. Holiday apartments and modest 3-star spots dominate the accommodation scene, keeping prices grounded. And because Baltic's tiny size naturally limits visitor numbers, the atmosphere stays calm, even in peak season. If there is one place on this entire list that deserves to be experienced before the rest of the world catches on, it's this one. Germany has hundreds of kilometers of coastline, ecologically protected, visually stunning, and almost entirely overlooked. These towns aren't affordable because they're worse. They're affordable because nobody's talking about them yet. The formula is simple. Travel in May, June, or September. Take Deutsche Bahn to the coast. Rent a bike, not a car. Self-cater where you can. Eat Fischbrötchen on the harbor. Clean beaches, free national parks, and a pace of life that the rest of Europe has mostly forgotten. This is coastal Germany, on your own terms. Drop the town you're most curious about in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe if you want the full itineraries, ferry guides, and best travel windows coming soon. And if someone you know needs a real summer escape that won't break the bank, send them this. It might just save their 2026. See you in the next one.